So about a month ago, I was able to get my hands on one of the new Paul Reed Smith SE DGTs. I found a blemish model online. I was super excited because I can get a deal on this hot new guitar. And when it came, I liked it quite a bit. Unfortunately, it had some cracks in the fretboard that were a little too close to the edge of the fretboard for my liking, especially living in the Philadelphia area where it can get pretty dry in the winter. So I ended up returning that guitar. And then recently over the holiday weekend, I was able to go to kind of a guitar center in my area and check out the SE 594 and the SE Pulse guitar, which is this guitar. And this is what I ended up coming home with. And I think I like it better even than the DGT. I thought it might be useful for me to kind of go through some of my rationale for why I like this guitar compared to the other two. I'll start off by saying that all three guitars are really good guitars, and it really comes down to kind of personal preference about controls and feel and neck carve and things like that. So, don't get upset if you don't agree with kind of my opinions on some of these things. So all three guitars in terms of construction are pretty similar. You've got a mahogany body, maple cap, you've got a mahogany neck, although the DGT has a single piece of mahogany, whereas the 594 and this guitar are a multiply, meaning it's multiple pieces of mahogany. They all have, the standard SE nut, which has never been my favorite. And the tuners are pretty similar. Again, most SE guitars that I've had and played, I've not loved the tuners. And honestly, probably if I upgrade this guitar at all, the first thing I'll do is change the tuners out. In terms of the neck carve, I find the Pulse guitar and the DGT pretty similar. Maybe the DGT is a little thicker, especially kind of in this area. But they're more similar than not, in my opinion. The 594 is much, much bigger and thicker than the other two. If you like a really, really thick neck, that's the guitar for you. That's not my favorite thing. They've all got the standard PRS 10-inch fretboard radius, and the frets are, I think, the same on all three. In terms of bridge, this has got a wraparound bridge, as you can see. The 594 has a Gibson style kind of tunematic sort of thing. And then the DGT has a tremolo. So if you want a tremolo, that's the only option of the three. In terms of controls, this is one area that I really prefer the Pulse guitar. I started out playing more Fender style guitars, and so I'm not super comfortable with multiple volume controls on the pickups. I prefer a single one. So this one, you got a single volume, single tone. On the DGT, you've got two volumes and one tone, and on the 594, you've got the kind of standard Gibson 2 volumes, 2 tones. The DGT and this guitar have the pickup selector kind of here, which is kind of the standard Paul Reed Smith location for it. The 594 has it up here, more like a Les Paul. I actually don't like where Paul Reed Smith puts this. I find it hard to get to when you're playing and you got to kind of reach back for it. I wish they all did the 594 thing and put it here. In terms of splitting the pickups, on the DGT tone, you've got a push-pull that controls both pickups. So you can only either split both or split none. On the 594, each tone is a push-pull, so you can split them individually. On this one, you've got the mini toggle. So when they're down, that's humbucker. When they're up, that's single coil. I really prefer the mini toggle switches. I find it easier to kind of reach down and flip the switch rather than have to try to pull on the tone control. Again, that's personal preference, but I like that better. So in terms of pickups, all three guitars are pretty similar in that they have kind of vintagey style pickups. The 594 pickups were my least favorite of the three. They're okay. They weren't very inspiring to me. The DGT pickups in humbucking mode, I think, are the best of the three. You get more clarity with them than you get maybe with the pulse guitar in humbucking mode. But I think I prefer the pulse guitar pickups when you split them. So the single coil sounds from the pulse guitar I like better than I was getting from the DGT. But overall, like I said, all three guitars are really kind of worth the money, in my opinion. But for me, in terms of the single coil sounds and the control layout, I like the pulse guitar best of the three. I might still try to get my hands on the DGT at some point, but I'm going to wait maybe for those to cool down a little bit. You can find some online. So I will say I was able to play multiple versions of the pulse guitar. They had this one, which is the blue. You can see the back is kind of a light brown all the way into the headstock. And then they have the kind of the dark brown burst finish where the back and neck are basically black. I thought I liked the look of this one better. This guitar too also was lighter than the other pulse guitar, and had a little more resonance and ring to it. This guitar just sang out a little bit more. In terms of weight, I will say all guitars, all the three types of guitars, the DGT, the 594, and the pulse guitar, the weights are generally similar. None of the ones I tried anyway were super heavy. Probably the heaviest one was the DGT that came to me that I returned. The 594s are pretty light, and this is pretty light. So I would say they're all in the, typically around that less than 8 pounds, 7 to 8 pounds probably, maybe a little bit less than 7. So weight's not a huge issue. They're pretty consistent. Like I said, I think of the four that I've played, the one DGT, the one 594, and the two pulse guitar, this is the lightest of the four. And I think the DGT was the heaviest, but they're maybe, half a pound to a pound apart max. So I hope you found that comparison helpful. We'll spend a few minutes now kind of running through the different pickup tones on the pulse guitar. And thanks for watching.